A wealthy CEO abandoned pregnant wife. 12 years later, his secret daughter challenged him in a karate. Victor Kane stood motionless at the edge of the mat, the championship trophy heavy in his hands. The Los Angeles charity event had been perfectly orchestrated until this moment. Wealthy donors, press coverage, his practice speech about supporting youth athletics. Now, with cameras rolling, he stared at the girl whose victory had just been announced. Have you ever watched someone's carefully constructed world crack in an instant? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The tech billionaire's smile froze as the teenage karate finalist removed her helmet, revealing a face that mirrored his own. The daughter he'd abandoned 12 years ago was about to fight for more than just a trophy. Victor Kane stood motionless at the edge of the mat, the championship trophy heavy in his hands. The Los Angeles charity event had been perfectly orchestrated until this moment. Wealthy donors, press coverage, his practice speech about supporting youth athletics. Now, with cameras rolling, he stared at the girl whose victory had just been announced. She was 14, maybe 15. Dark hair pulled back in a competition braid. His eyes, locked on him with an intensity that cut through his designer suit and corporate armor. This wasn't coincidence. This was ambush. The crowd's applause faded as Ava stepped forward to accept her award. She moved with disciplined grace, each step calculated, just like her mother had once moved. Elena's daughter, his daughter. Congratulations, Victor managed, extending the trophy with a steady hand that betrayed none of his internal chaos. Thank you, Mr. Kane. Her voice carried across the suddenly quiet venue. I've been waiting for this moment for 12 years. Whispers rippled through the audience. Phones raised higher, capturing the tension. Perhaps we should discuss this privately, Victor said, his crisis management instincts kicking in. Like when you privately told my mother that a baby would slow down your career? Ava's voice remained controlled, but her eyes burned. Or when you privately moved across the country without leaving so much as a phone number? The charity director stepped forward, confusion evident. Is there a problem? No problem, Ava said, her smile sharp as a blade. Just meeting my father for the first time. Properly, I mean, not counting when I was in my mother's womb when he walked out. Camera flashes exploded. Victor's publicist materialized at his side, whispering urgent damage control suggestions. But Victor couldn't move, trapped in the gravity of the moment, seeing his own features reflected in this fierce young stranger. You abandoned us with nothing, Ava continued, her composure terrifying. Mom worked 3 jobs while raising me. She built a life you couldn't imagine, and she never asked you for anything. The crowd had gone completely silent now. So why now? Victor finally asked, his voice lower than intended. Ava's chin lifted. Because Mom is dying. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The words landed like physical blows. Victor's mind raced through implications, calculations, contingencies. The same analytical process that had built his empire. I'm not here for your money, Ava said, as security personnel began moving toward her. She pulled a folded document from her GI. I'm here because Mom is dying and she made me promise to give you this. As Victor reached for the paper, Ava leaned close enough that only he could hear her final words. She kept your secrets all these years. Now you'll keep hers, or everyone will know what really happened with Project Artemis. Have you ever watched someone's carefully constructed world crack in an instant? What would you do if the past you thought you'd buried suddenly stood before you, wearing your face? Share your thoughts below on whether some debts can never truly be paid. 12 years earlier, he chose an empire over family with 4 callous words. A child slows progress, never imagining that child would one day become his most formidable opponent. The Seattle rain had pounded against the windows of their modest apartment. Victor packed methodically, his movements efficient as Elena watched from the doorway, one hand resting on her still flat stomach. So that's it? You just leaving? Her voice had been steady then. Elena Cruz never begged. This investment round is my one shot, Victor had replied, not meeting her eyes as he zipped his suitcase. The board made it clear, they're backing me, not us. not a family. We can make it work. I'll keep teaching in the dojo. My students, a child slows progress. His words had sliced through the air. I can't afford distractions now. Not with Kane Technologies about to launch. He'd left her with the apartment lease and 2 months' rent. A clean break, he'd told himself. Necessary collateral damage on his path to greatness. Now, 12 years later, Victor sat in his hotel suite, watching his PR team scramble. News alerts flashed across multiple screens. Tech titan confronted by secret daughter at charity event. His phone buzzed constantly, with board members demanding explanations. We need to get ahead of this, his publicist insisted. Issue a statement about a private family matter that's being sensationalized. Victor barely heard her. His mind replayed the image of Ava on that mat. Her flawless technique, her strategic precision, the cold calculation and eyes that matched his own. His assistant entered with a tablet. "Sir, you need to see this." The screen showed Elena, older, thinner than he remembered, but still striking, being interviewed outside a modest Los Angeles home. "I never kept Ava's father a secret from her," Elena was saying. "Victor Kane chose not to be part of our lives. We respected his decision and built our own." The reporter pushed. "Did you ever ask him for financial support?" Elena's laugh still had the same musical quality he remembered from their early days. "We never needed his money. I needed his presence. Ava needed her father. When those weren't available, we moved forward." The camera panned to show a wall of karate trophies behind her. "You trained your daughter yourself?" "Every day since she was 4, Elena nodded. "Discipline, focus, perseverance. The things her father taught me were important before he left." Victor dismissed his team with a sharp gesture. Alone, he opened his laptop and typed Elena Cruz, Los Angeles. Pages of results appeared. Her martial arts studio, championship students, community awards. She had built something remarkable while he'd been building Kane Technologies. Without his money, without his connections. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. That was just round 1. "Meet tomorrow, or I take everything public, including what really happened with Project Artemis." Victor's blood went cold. No one knew about Project Artemis. No one except the original development team, all bound by ironclad NDAs. And Elena, what sacrifices have you made for success? Where would you draw the line between ambition and humanity? Drop a comment about the price you think is too high to pay for reaching the top. DNA doesn't lie, but for 12 years, Victor Kane had. The Four Seasons presidential suite offered a panoramic view of Los Angeles. The city sprawled beneath him like a circuit board of lights and darkness. Victor had insisted on the meeting location, his territory, his rules. The knock came precisely at the appointed time. When he opened the door, Ava stood alone in jeans and a plain black t-shirt, a backpack slung over one shoulder. No lawyers, no press. Just a teenager with his eyes and jawline, regarding him with clinical detachment. "Come in," Victor said, stepping aside. Ava entered, her gaze sweeping the opulent suite with neither awe nor disdain, just rapid assessment. She moved like someone mapping exits and angles, like someone trained to always be prepared. "Would you like something to drink?" Victor gestured toward the bar. "I'm 15, she replied flatly. "Water, then, or juice? I'm not here for refreshments." She unzipped her backpack and removed a folder. "Mom said you want proof." Victor accepted the folder, maintaining his composed exterior as he flipped it open. Inside lay medical records, birth certificate, and DNA test results from a reputable lab. His name listed clearly as the father. "These could be fabricated," he said, more from habit than conviction. The evidence was comprehensive. "Mom knew you'd say that." Ava pulled out her phone. "That's why she kept this." The video showed a much younger Victor and Elena. He recognized the moment immediately, the night before he left. They were tangled in sheets, his face relaxed in post-intimacy vulnerability. "Say it again." Elena's voice came from behind the camera. The younger Victor smiled lazily. "If it's a girl, we're naming her Ava, after my grandmother." Victor's jaw tightened as he looked up from the phone. "Turn it off." Ava complied, her expression unchanged. "There's more if you need it." Why now? Victor placed a folder on the glass coffee table between them. 15 years of silence. And suddenly this public confrontation? If Elena needed financial help. Mom doesn't want your money. Ava's voice hardened. She never did. Then what? Ava removed a medical file from her backpack. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. 6 months at best. Victor took the file, skimming the oncologist reports and treatment plans. His analytical mind processed the survival statistics while something long dormant stirred beneath his ribs. "I'm sorry," he said, the words feeling inadequate. "Is she getting proper care? I can arrange. She has insurance. Her studio does well." Ava reclaimed the file. "This isn't about treatment. Then what is it about?" "Me." Ava's composure slipped for the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her face. "After Mom, understanding dawned. She wants me to take custody." Ava nodded once, her shoulders squaring again. "Not that she expects you to actually parent me. Just legal guardianship until I'm 18. The implication stung more than Victor anticipated. And if I refuse, then the press gets a very different story about the abandoned daughter. Plus everything Mom knows about Project Artemis. Victor maintained his neutral expression, even as alarm bells rang internally. Project Artemis had been buried deep. The early algorithm that had made his fortune while skirting several federal regulations. "That's blackmail. That's leverage," Ava corrected. "Business term. I thought you'd appreciate the distinction." Victor studied her, this child with a strategic mind and Elena's unwavering gaze. Nature and nurture creating a formidable combination. "I need to think about this." "You have 48 hours. Ava stood, slinging her backpack over her shoulder. "Mom's at Providence, St. John's. Room 412. You should visit before making your decision." Victor reached for his checkbook with practiced efficiency. "Name your price." Ava's laugh cut through the room like a blade. "Money? That's your solution." She shook her head with something between pity and disgust. "I'm not here for compensation." She slid a formal document across the table. "I'm here for custody. When Mom dies, you get me." Her voice caught slightly on the last words. "Though we both know you never wanted me in the first place." Victor stared at the guardianship papers, his empire suddenly feeling hollow against the weight of what he'd walked away from. A daughter raised without him, who now stood before him not asking for love or even acceptance, just legal responsibility. 48 hours, Ava repeated, moving toward the door. "And just so we're clear, I don't want this either. But Mom made me promise. And unlike some people, I keep my promises." The door closed behind her with a soft click that somehow echoed louder than a slam. Have you ever met someone whose blood you shared but whose life was completely separate from yours? What connects us more, genetics or shared experiences? I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether biology creates obligation or if family is something we choose to build. He'd built an empire calculating risks and returns. But Victor Kane had never factored in the cost of a daughter who knew exactly how to dismantle his carefully constructed world. Victor's private investigator confirmed everything within hours. Elena Cruz, owner of Cruz Combat Academy, 3-time national karate champion, now battling stage for pancreatic cancer. Ava Cruz, straight-A student, junior karate champion in 4 weight divisions, no disciplinary issues. The medical prognosis matched Ava's assessment. 6 months, perhaps less. His corporate jet remained on standby as Victor convened an emergency board meeting via secure video link. "This needs to disappear before the IPO filing next month," said Margaret Chun, his CFO. "The markets hate uncertainty." "The girl is legitimate," Victor replied. "DNA confirmed." "Then settle quietly," advised his legal counsel. "Set up a trust fund with strict confidentiality provisions. She's not asking for money." Victor found himself defending Ava's position without intending to. "She's asking for guardianship after her mother passes." The board members exchanged glances across their respective screens. "Out of the question," Margaret said firmly. "You're about to take a company public with a valuation north of $11 billion. You can't suddenly acquire a teenage dependent with a compelling reason to resent you." The mother knows about Project Artemis, Victor stated. Digital silence fell across the connection. Project Artemis, the data mining algorithm that had violated multiple privacy laws but launched Kane Technologies into the stratosphere. The board had approved the necessary adjustments to make it appear compliant, but evidence of the original code would trigger federal investigations. How? His legal counsel finally asked. Elena was there at the beginning, Victor replied. Before we were funded. Another uncomfortable silence. Visit the mother, Margaret finally said. Assess the threat directly. Then we'll reconvene. After the call ended, Victor stood at his hotel window, watching Los Angeles shimmer beneath him. For years, he viewed people as either assets or obstacles. Elena had been reclassified from the former to the latter when pregnancy threatened his trajectory. Now she was back, a variable he couldn't control, wielding knowledge that could destroy everything he'd built. And Ava, the living embodiment of his choice. Providence St. John's Hospital stood like a fortress of modern medicine, its gleaming exterior hiding the battles waged within. Victor felt oddly exposed as he approached room 412, his usual confidence wavering. He paused in the doorway. Elena lay against white pillows, her once vibrant skin now paper-thin, dark hair cropped close to her skull, and four-stand track medication into her arm. But her eyes, those extraordinary eyes that had first captured his attention, remained sharp as they locked onto him. So she found you, Elena said, her voice softer than he remembered, but still carrying that hint of wry amusement. Right on schedule. You trained her well. Victor stepped inside, closing the door behind him. The public confrontation was particularly effective. She chose that approach herself. Strategic thinking, she gets that from you. An uncomfortable warmth spread through Victor's chest at the unexpected acknowledgement. Why now, Elena? 15 years of silence, and suddenly you need me. I don't need you. Her smile was gentle but firm. Ava does, whether either of you want to admit it. Victor moved closer to the bed, noting the worn paperback on the side table. Sun Tzu's Art of War. Some things hadn't changed. There are other options. Your sister, perhaps. My sister has 4 kids and works 2 jobs. Elena adjusted herself with a wince. Ava needs stability, structure, and resources for college, which I could provide without custody. This isn't negotiable, Victor. Elena's gaze hardened. She's your daughter. For once in your life, take responsibility for something that doesn't generate profit. The familiar mix of attraction and frustration Elena always triggered bubbled to the surface. Even dying, she refused to yield. And Project Artemis? He asked quietly. That's your insurance policy? That's my guarantee you won't dump her in boarding school and disappear again. Elena's monitor beeped as her heart rate increased slightly. I kept your secrets for 15 years. I'm only asking for 3 in return. As Victor prepared to respond, the door opened. Ava entered carrying a small cooler, stopping short at the sight of him. You came, she said, surprise briefly replacing her composed expression. I did. An awkward silence filled the room as Ava placed the cooler on the bedside table. Ice chips, she explained to her mother. The nurse said they might help with the dry mouth. Victor observed their interaction, the practice care, the unspoken communication between them. A relationship built over years that he had no part in. As Victor turned to leave, Elena's quiet voice stopped him cold. She doesn't know the truth about why you really left, Victor. I never told her about the promise you made me keep. What would you do if someone you once loved suddenly needed you after years of separation? Is there an expiration date on responsibility? Share your perspective on whether time diminishes our obligations to those we've left behind. Success had given Victor Kane 2 faces, the ruthless CEO and the philanthropic public figure, but neither was prepared for the daughter who could see through both. The media firestorm ignited faster than even Victor's crisis team anticipated. Tech billionaire's secret daughter screamed across digital headlines. Stock analysts speculated about hidden liabilities affecting the upcoming IPO. Victor's publicist crafted a careful statement acknowledging Ava as his biological daughter, while requesting privacy during this time of family reconnection. In his Malibu home, Victor's wife of 3 years paced across imported marble floors. "Were you planning to consult me at any point?" Sophia Kane's voice carried the precise chill of old Boston money. "Or does your current wife rank below the press office in the notification hierarchy?" "There wasn't time," Victor replied, eyes fixed on his tablet as markets opened. Kane Technologies down 3% already. The situation required immediate containment. This situation being your teenage daughter? Sophia, stop pacing. From before we met, I assume. From before I founded the company. Sophia est parfaitement composée sur sleep, revealing une genuine surprise. That long ago, yet you never mentioned her. Because I walked away, Victor thought but didn't say. Because acknowledging her existence meant acknowledging my choice. The circumstances were complicated, he offered instead. And now, what exactly are these custody arrangements your statement referenced? Victor finally looked up from his tablet. Her mother is dying. Terminal cancer. Something shifted in Sophia's expression. A flash of empathy quickly replaced by calculation. So we're expected to take in a grieving teenager? Just as we're preparing for the IPO roadshow. I'm exploring options. There are no options, Victor. There's only damage control. Sophia, smooth her already immaculate dress. We'll need to present a united front. Bring the girl to dinner Friday. I'll invite. The Westbrooks, their daughter is approximately the same age. So we're integrating her appropriately. Victor recognized the strategy. Sophia approached family the same way she approached their charitable foundation, as an extension of brand management. Ava may not be receptive to social engineering, he warned. Everyone responds to the right incentives. Sophia's smile didn't reach her eyes. Find hers. Finding Ava's incentives proved challenging. She declined his invitation to dinner with cold politeness. She ignored the delivered gifts, the latest phone, designer clothes, even a new laptop. She maintained her training schedule at her mother's studio and kept her school attendance perfect. After 4 days of rejection, Victor took a different approach. He appeared at Cruise Combat Academy during Ava's afternoon class. The studio occupied a converted warehouse in a transitional neighborhood. No fancy equipment or luxury amenities. Just clean mats, mirrored walls, and 24 students moving through forms with disciplined focus. Ava stood at the center, leading the class through a complex kata. She spotted Victor immediately, but gave no indication, completing the sequence before turning the class over to an assistant. "You're disrupting my students," she said as she approached, voice low. "You've been avoiding me. I've been teaching, and visiting my mother, and doing homework." Her tone remained neutral, but her eyes flashed warning. Some of us can't jet around solving problems with money. Several students watched them curiously. Victor recognized the protective glances they cast toward Ava. "Your mother's treatment options," Victor began. "Ava consulted specialists. She's made her decisions." Ava cut him off. "She's at peace with them. And you?" The question caught her off guard. For a moment, her carefully maintained composure cracked, revealing the frightened child beneath the disciplined exterior. "What I feel doesn't matter," she finally said. "What matters is honoring her wishes, including forcing us to become family." Ava's laugh held no humor. "We're not family. We share DNA. There's a difference." She glanced toward her watching students. "I need to get back to class." "Have dinner with us," Victor persisted. "One meal. Then I'll stop disrupting your classes." "Fine. Text me details." She turned to leave, then paused. "Don't expect me to play happy reunions for your wife's social circle. I won't be your redemption story." The restaurant Sophia selected screamed exclusivity. Private room, Michelin stars, sommelier hovering discreetly. Ava arrived precisely on time, wearing simple black pants and a button-down shirt. No designer labels, but clean and appropriate. Victor watched Sophia assess her, noting the girl's straight posture, clear skin, and athletic grace. Acceptable raw material, her expression seemed to say, "Ava, welcome." Sophia's smile was professionally warm. We're so pleased you could join us. Thank you for the invitation, Mrs. Kane. Please call me Sophia. After all, we're family now. Ava's expression didn't change, but Victor caught the slight tension in her shoulders. As you wish. The Westbrooks arrived moments later. James, board member and significant Kane Technologies investor, his wife Melissa, and their daughter Brianna, dressed head to toe in luxury brands. So you do karate? Brianna asked Ava during the appetizer course, her tone suggesting exotic zoological discovery. I teach martial arts, Ava corrected politely. My mother's studio specializes in traditional karate, but we offer several disciplines. That must be why you're so athletic, Melissa Westbrook observed with carefully calibrated admiration. Fitness is a beneficial side effect, Ava replied. The primary goals are discipline, respect, and self-mastery. Victor watched his daughter navigate the subtle condescension with remarkable composure. She answered questions directly, offered no personal information unless asked, and maintained perfect manners throughout the calculated social exercise. She was, he realized with uncomfortable clarity, protecting herself, just as she'd likely been doing her entire life. The breaking news alert flashed across Victor's phone during dessert. Tech Titan's secret daughter revealed, and sources say there's more to the story. Below it, a text from an unknown number. That wasn't me. Someone else knows. Have you ever witnessed someone living a double life? The public face versus private reality? Comment below about how authenticity impacts your trust in others, and whether it's possible to truly know someone who shows different sides to different people. The hospital room became a battlefield as Elena revealed what she'd kept hidden for 12 years. Leverage that could destroy everything Victor had built. Elena's condition had deteriorated overnight. Her oxygen levels dropped, requiring a nasal cannula that hissed softly as Victor entered her room. Ava sat beside the bed, homework spread across her lap, one hand holding her mother's while she worked. You should be in school, Victor said. Ava didn't look up from her calculus. Half day. Teacher development. I'd like to speak with your mother. Alone. Now, she did look up, eyes narrowing. What? It's okay, sweetheart, Elena said, her voice thinner than yesterday. Go get some air. Maybe that tea from the cafeteria? Reluctance clear in every movement. Ava packed her books and left, casting one warning glance at Victor before closing the door. She's protective, Elena observed once they were alone. She's suspicious, Victor corrected. With good reason. Yes. Elena adjusted herself with effort. You taught me early that trust should be earned, not given. Victor moved to the window, keeping his back to her. Someone leaked information about Ava to the press. Additional information is being threatened. Not me. I believe you. He turned to face her, which means someone else knows about Project Artemis. Elena's monitor beeped as her heart rate increased slightly. That's not possible. The original team was just you, me, and Daniel. Daniel died 3 years ago. Accident. I know. Elena closed her eyes briefly. I attended his funeral, from a distance. The revelation surprised Victor. You kept tabs on us. On Daniel. He was my friend before he was your business partner. She studied Victor's face. You think I told someone about the code? I think you prepared contingencies. Victor moved closer to the bed. You always were 3 moves ahead. A ghost of Elena's old smile appeared. 4 actually. The morphine drip counted rhythm like a metronome as Elena pushed herself more upright, wincing with the effort. She reached beneath her pillow and withdrew a sealed envelope, her fingers trembling but her gaze steady. I wasn't planning to use this unless you refused, Ava. Victor accepted the envelope, his outward calm masking internal tension. Inside, he found a USB drive and a printout of code, the original Project Artemis algorithm, with notations documenting its privacy violations and federal regulations breached. How did you get this? His voice remained even through years of practice control. All copies were destroyed. Not all copies. Elena's monitor beeped again. The night before you left. You fell asleep first. I copied the files. The memory surfaced their last night together, making love with desperate intensity, as if part of him had already known he was leaving. Had she planned, even then, to secure leverage? Insurance, Elena explained, reading his expression. I never intended to use it, but I needed to protect myself, and later, to protect Ava. Victor slipped the evidence into his jacket pocket. And now, what's to stop me from destroying this and walking away again? Nothing. Elena's directness had always been her strength. Except there's a second copy, and a third, with instructions for release if anything happens to Ava or her inheritance. Inheritance, Victor repeated. You said you didn't want money. I don't. But Ava deserves security. Elena's breathing grew more labored. The studio, her college fund, our home, everything I built stays hers. You guarantee that, and your secrets stay buried. Victor's hand tightened around the envelope. If these go public, I don't just lose my company. I face federal charges. Elena's smile was thin. Then you better make sure our daughter is taken care of when I'm gone. The door opened as Ava returned with a paper cup of tea. She assessed the tension instantly, moving to her mother's side. What did you do? She asked Victor, voice low with accusation. He didn't do anything, sweetie. Elena reached for her daughter's hand. We're just finalizing details. Ava's gaze shifted between them, doubt clear in her expression. What details? Your future, Victor answered. Your mother wants to ensure you're provided for. We've been providing for ourselves for 15 years, Ava said sharply. We don't need. Ava. Elena's quiet voice stopped her. Some battles aren't worth fighting. This is one of them. Something unspoken passed between mother and daughter. Years of private language and understood meanings that Victor couldn't access. Fine, Ava finally said, but no boarding schools. No convenient arrangements that keep me out of sight. Agreed, Victor replied, surprising himself with how quickly he conceded. Elena closed her eyes, fatigue evident. Let me rest now, both of you. In the hallway outside, Ava confronted him. Whatever she gave you, whatever deal you made, if you break your word, I'll make sure you regret it. Victor studied his daughter, this fierce, loyal stranger with his determination and Elena's heart. She didn't tell you what leverage she has, did she? She didn't have to. Ava's confidence was absolute. Mom always has a backup plan. Always. As Victor walked away, his phone buzzed with a message from his head of security. Unauthorized access detected in company archives. Someone searching for Project Artemis files. Internal or external breach unconfirmed. What secrets would you keep to protect someone you love? Is it ever justified to hold onto information as leverage? Let me know your thoughts in the comments on whether some insurance policies are worth the moral cost. Ava had inherited more than just Victor's eyes. She'd received his strategic mind, which was now focused on the question. Was she a pawn in her mother's game or its master? The hospital cafeteria hummed with subdued conversations and the clatter of plastic trays. Victor found Ava in the corner, laptop open, fingers flying across the keyboard as she worked on what appeared to be complex code. Python, he asked, setting down 2 coffee cups and taking the seat across from her. She glanced up, surprised he recognized the programming language. School project. Data analysis. Victor studied the screen. That's beyond school level. Mom made sure I learned coding early. Ava accepted the coffee with reluctant thanks. She said understanding algorithms would be essential for my generation. She was right. Victor gestured to the screen. You're using a recursive function there. It's elegant, but you'll hit Stack Overflow with large data sets. Ava's eyes narrowed, but she turned the screen toward him. What would you suggest? For 20 minutes, they worked on the code together, Victor pointing out optimizations, Ava implementing them with quick comprehension. The tension between them eased slightly in the face of shared problem solving. You code like her, Victor finally said, leaning back. Efficient, creative where it matters. Mom codes. Genuine surprise colored Ava's voice. She helped develop Kane Technologies' first algorithm. The admission felt strange after years of erasing Elena's contributions from company history. Before we secured funding, before there was a company at all, Ava's expression shifted, processing this new information about her mother. She never told me. Elena compartmentalizes, Victor said. Always has. Like keeping Project Artemis from me? Ava's direct question confirmed Victor's suspicion. Elena hadn't shared the specifics of her leverage. What exactly did she tell you about it? Just that it was insurance, that you wouldn't want it public. Ava studied him with uncomfortable precision, that it was powerful enough to make you honor your commitments. And you never asked for details? I trust her judgment. Ava closed her laptop. Unlike some people, the barb landed as intended. Victor changed tactics. The karate championship. You deliberately chose that event because I was presenting, didn't you? A hint of pride flickered across Ava's face. It took planning, getting selected for the tournament, making sure I advanced to finals, creating the opportunity. Your mother's idea? Mine. Ava's chin lifted slightly. Mom wanted to approach you privately. I decided a public venue would apply maximum pressure. Calculated risk, Victor noted. If I'd reacted differently, it could have backfired. I studied you. Interviews, press conferences, social media. Ava sipped her coffee. You're pathologically concerned with public image. You wouldn't make a scene. The assessment was uncomfortably accurate. Victor felt a strange mix of admiration and unease at being so thoroughly analyzed by his own daughter. And now someone else is threatening that image, he observed. Someone who knows about Project Artemis. Not me, Ava said firmly. I believe you. Victor leaned forward. But someone accessed company archives searching for related files. Someone who knows what they're looking for. Ava frowned, genuine concern crossing her face. Mom's the only one who... She stopped abruptly. The only one who what? Nothing. She began packing her laptop. Ava, Victor pressed. If there's something I should know, you lost the right to answers 15 years ago. Her voice remained controlled, but her movements betrayed tension. I need to get back to Mom's room. Victor followed her to the elevator. Whoever's looking for Project Artemis puts us both at risk. You understand that, right? Your mother's leverage only works if the information remains controlled. The elevator doors closed before Ava could respond, but her expression revealed what she wouldn't say. This was news to her. Elena hadn't shared all her plans with her daughter. When Victor returned to his temporary office at Kane Technologies' Los Angeles division, his security chief waited with updates. The breach was sophisticated, Michael reported. They knew exactly where to look and what to search for. Internal. Signs point to external, but using internal credentials. Someone with historical knowledge of the system architecture. Victor pinched the bridge of his nose. Narrow the credential analysis to the original development team. Focus on anyone connected to Elena Cruz. Already done. Michael handed over a tablet. One name flagged. Archived employee from 15 years ago. Credentials should have been deactivated, but appear to have been maintained through a ghost admin account. The name on the screen made Victor's blood run cold. That's impossible. Sir, Daniel Westbrook died 3 years ago. Michael shifted uncomfortably. Then someone's using his access. Recently and repeatedly. Victor dismissed his security chief and stared at the tablet. Daniel Westbrook, his original business partner. Elena's friend. The third member of Project Artemis who supposedly died in a car accident before Kane Technologies went mainstream. His phone chimed with a message from Sophia. Dinner with the Westbrooks canceled. Brianna, apparently overwhelmed with school commitments. Convenient timing after meeting your daughter, don't you think? Victor barely registered his wife's social paranoia. His mind raced through implications. If Daniel's credentials were active, if someone with intimate knowledge of Project Artemis was probing company archives, he drove back to the hospital with growing urgency. Elena needed to know someone else had accessed their shared secret. But when he reached her room, he found it in chaos. Medical staff surrounding her bed. Ava pressed against the wall, face white with fear. Pressure dropping and nurse called out. She was fine 10 minutes ago, Ava said as Victor reached her side. We were just talking and then... Family needs to step out, an urgent voice directed. In the hallway, Ava's composure finally crumbled. She can't die yet. She hasn't told me everything I need to know. The raw fear in her voice resonated with Victor's own mounting concerns. What were you discussing before she crashed? Ava wiped her eyes angrily. She was telling me about someone named Daniel. Said I needed to know the truth about him, if anything happened to her. Victor's pulse quickened. Daniel Westbrook? Ava's head snapped up, surprise evident. Yes. How did you? Because his computer credentials were just used to access Project Artemis files. Victor gripped his daughter's shoulders. And Daniel Westbrook is supposed to be dead. Do you believe certain talents and traits are inherited, or are they developed? Nature versus nurture, which has shaped you more significantly? Share your experience with recognizing parts of yourself that come directly from your parents, whether you were raised by them or not. The boardroom in the dojo shared one critical lesson Victor had forgotten. Never underestimate an opponent with nothing to lose. She's stabilized, the doctor informed them 2 hours later. But she's much weaker. The cancer is accelerating more rapidly than we anticipated. How long? Ava's voice was hollow. Days, perhaps. Not weeks. The doctor's compassion seemed genuine. She's asking for you both. Elena lay pale against the pillows, oxygen mask covering half her face. Her eyes found Victor first, then Ava. With effort, she removed the mask. Daniel, she whispered. We know, Victor said, moving closer. Someone's using his credentials. Elena shook her head weakly. Not someone. Him. Mom, Daniel Westbrook died 3 years ago. Ava said gently. Galaxy don't. No. Elena's voice strengthened slightly. Staged. Had to disappear. Victor exchanged alarmed glances with Ava. Elena, what are you saying? Project Artemis. Not what you think. Her breathing grew labored. Dangerous. Military applications. The monitor began beeping and warning. Elena grabbed Victor's wrist with surprising strength. Protect Ava. Daniel won't stop. The medical team rushed in, pushing them back as Elena's vitals destabilized again. In the hallway, Ava turned to Victor, fear replaced by determination. We need to talk. Not here. They drove in tense silence to Kane Technologies' Los Angeles headquarters. The gleaming skyscraper dominated the skyline, 60 stories of glass and steel broadcasting power and innovation. You've never been here, Victor realized as they entered the secure elevator. Mom pointed it out once, Ava replied. Said you built a tower instead of a home. The observation stung with its accuracy. The elevator opened directly into Victor's executive suite, where his assistant waited with barely concealed curiosity about the teenager accompanying him. Clear my schedule, Victor instructed, and activate privacy protocols for conference room A. Once sealed inside the secure room, Victor disabled recording devices and activated signal blockers. Old habits from the early days when corporate espionage had been a constant threat. Daniel Westbrook was my co-founder. He began bringing up photos on a wall screen. Brilliant programmer. He, your mother, and I developed the original algorithm that became Kane Technologies' foundation. Project Artemis, Ava supplied. Yes. Victor hesitated, calculating how much to reveal. It was designed to analyze user behavior patterns for predictive marketing, but it had broader applications. Military applications, Ava quoted her mother. What does that mean? Victor paced the length of the conference table. The algorithm could predict behavior beyond consumer preferences. It could anticipate decision-making patterns in any context, including military strategy, political uprisings, social movements. That's why it violated privacy laws, Ava deduced. It wasn't just collecting data, it was weaponizing it. Her quick comprehension reminded Victor again that she was Elena's daughter as much as his. Quick, analytical, seeing connections others missed. Daniel wanted to license it to defense contractors, Victor confirmed. I refused. We had a fundamental disagreement about the company's direction. So he left. He was bought out, signed ironclad non-competes and confidentiality agreements. Victor brought up new images, news reports of a car accident. 3 years ago, his vehicle went off Pacific Coast Highway. Body never recovered, but Mom says he staged it. Ava studied the accident photos with clinical detachment. What? That's what we need to find out. Victor picked up his secure phone. I'm bringing in my head of security. If Daniel's alive, if he's targeting Project Artemis information, we need to understand why now. While waiting, Victor gave Ava a tour of the executive floor. She showed polite interest but truly engaged only when they reached the company's fitness center and adjoining dojo, installed as part of employee wellness initiatives. You have a training space here? She examined the equipment with professional assessment. Mostly unused except for occasional corporate team-building exercises, Victor admitted. Ava stepped onto the mat, removing her shoes automatically. Without speaking, she began a complex kata, her movements fluid and precise in the unfamiliar space. Victor watched, recognizing Elena's teaching in every controlled motion. The security director found them there, clearing his throat awkwardly from the doorway. Sir, we've located an anomaly you should see. The surveillance footage showed Kane Technologies' parking garage from 3 days earlier. A delivery van, a driver whose face remained carefully turned from cameras. What am I looking at? Victor asked. This. Michael froze the frame, enhancing a reflection in the van's side mirror. Facial recognition flagged it despite the poor angle. The grainy image showed a man with gray-streaked hair and glasses. Even with the poor quality and obvious cosmetic changes, Victor recognized him immediately. Daniel, he confirmed. He's here in Los Angeles, Michael continued. And based on digital forensics, he's the one who leaked information about Ms. Cruz to the press. Victor turned to Ava, whose expression had hardened into focused determination. He's trying to force us into the open, using you as leverage. Why, she asked. Because Project Artemis was never just code, Victor admitted. It was proof of concept. The actual implementation, the complete version, was called Olympic. And if Daniel's alive, if he's here, he wants it, Ava finished. And he thinks one of you has it. Would you work alongside someone who had rejected you in the past if it meant achieving something important? Where do you draw boundaries between personal history and professional opportunity? Comment below on how you balance protecting yourself while cooperating with difficult people when necessary. As Elena's heartbeat weakened on the hospital monitor, the truth she'd carefully constructed for 12 years began to flatline alongside her. They returned to the hospital at midnight, Victor's security team discreetly positioned throughout the floor. Elena had been moved to intensive care, machines monitoring every failing system. She's been asking for you, the night nurse informed them softly. She's lucid but very weak. Keep it brief. Elena's eyes fluttered open as they entered, focusing with effort. You know, she whispered. Daniel's alive, Victor confirmed, taking the chair beside her bed. He's in Los Angeles. He wants Olympic. Elena's voice strengthened slightly. Never destroyed it. Ava leaned closer. Mom, what's Olympic? What does it have to do with us? Everything. Elena reached for her daughter's hand. Artemis was the prototype. Olympic was the weapon. Victor's jaw tightened. I shut it down. The board voted. You shut down the project, Elena corrected. Not the code. Daniel kept it. And now he's back for it, Ava concluded, using me to flush you out. Elena's monitor showed her heart rate increasing, emotions taxing her failing body. Needed you to know, both of you, the danger. We'll handle Daniel, Victor assured her. You need to rest. No time. Elena's fingers tightened around Ava's. There's more. About why Victor left. Ava glanced between them, uncertainty crossing her face. Mom, you should save your strength. Need to know truth. Elena's breathing grew labored. Not what I told you. Victor moved to stop her. Elena, this isn't necessary. It is. Her gaze held the same determination he remembered from 15 years ago. No more secrets. The hospital room seemed to shrink, the beeping monitors and antiseptic smell intensifying as Elena gathered her remaining strength. Victor didn't abandon us, she said to Ava. I made him leave. Ava shook her head in confusion. What? Why would you? Daniel threatened you. Elena's voice weakened. Before you were born. Said he'd expose Olympic, blame Victor. Unless Victor left the company. That's insane, Ava protested. Why would he? Leverage, Victor supplied, the pieces finally connecting. control of the company, the algorithm. He knew I'd choose Elena and our child over Kane Technologies. But you didn't, Avis said, accusation sharp in her voice. You left because I told him to, Elena insisted. Daniel's threat wasn't just exposure. He threatened worse. He threatened you. Victor finished, old rage resurfacing. Said he'd make sure neither of you survived the scandal. Elena no did weakly. So I made a deal. I'd keep Olympic's secret. Victor would leave us. Daniel would let us live quietly. Ava's face had gone pale, her composure cracking as 15 years of understanding rewrote itself. You lied to me, my whole life, to protect you. Elena's monitor began beeping warnings. Easier to hate an absent father than fear a present enemy. The door burst open as alarms triggered, medical staff rushing in. She's crashing. You need to step outside. In the hallway, Ava rounded on Victor, tears finally breaking through her control. Is it true? You didn't choose to leave. It's complicated, Victor began. Don't. Ava's voice sharpened. Truth. Now, did you want to leave us? No. The admission felt torn from him after 15 years of reinforcing the opposite narrative. Leaving your mother was the hardest thing I've ever done. Then why? Because Elena made me promise. Victor leaned against the wall, the weight of long-buried truth pressing down. She said the only way to keep you both safe was complete separation. No contact, no support, nothing that would connect us. For 15 years, Ava demanded. Daniel's threat kept you away for 15 years? At first, yes. Then, Victor struggled to articulate what he'd barely admitted to himself. Then it became easier to believe I'd made the right choice, that I'd chosen ambition over family, that you were better off without me. Self-justification, Ava said bitterly. Yes, no point denying it now. But Elena's illness changed everything. She needed to ensure you'd be protected after she's gone. From Daniel, Ava's analytical mind worked through implications. But why now? Why would he surface after all this time? The IPO, Victor realized. Kane Technologies going public means unprecedented scrutiny of our code base, our security protocols. If Olympic is hidden somewhere in our systems, he needs to remove it before your company faces regulatory examination, Ava finished. And he thinks Mom knows where it is. Their conversation halted as the ICU doors opened. The doctor's expression told them everything before he spoke. We've stabilized her, but just barely. Her systems are shutting down. His compassion seemed genuine. It's time to consider comfort measures only. I'm very sorry. When they were allowed back into the room, Elena lay unconscious, machines breathing for her. Ava took her position by the bed, holding her mother's hand, back straight despite the visible trembling in her shoulders. Victor stood at the foot of the bed, watching his daughter maintain her vigil. This fierce, disciplined young woman he barely knew, fighting tears with the same determination she brought to everything. I should have found another way, he said quietly. 15 years ago, I should have protected you both. Ava didn't look up from her mother's face. You can't change the past. No, but I can help you now. Victor moved closer. Daniel won't stop. Whatever Olympic is, whoever has it, we need to find it before he does. As doctors rushed in, Elena's monitors screaming warnings, she pulled Ava close for one final whisper. The safe deposit box. Key in my nightstand. What you'll find explains everything, including why he really can't keep you when I'm gone. When facing loss, do family secrets become more important to reveal or protect? What truths would you want known before it's too late? Share your perspective on whether honesty at the end outweighs the comfort of maintained illusions throughout life. The safe deposit box contained 2 items: a flash drive with code that could destroy Victor Kane's empire and a DNA test that rewrote Ava's entire existence. First National Bank's private viewing room felt sterile and cold. Ava sat rigid in her chair, the contents of her mother's safe deposit box spread before her. The last secrets Elena Cruz had kept. Are you sure you want me here for this? Victor asked from the doorway. Ava nodded once, not trusting her voice. The hospital had released Elena's personal effects that morning. her watch, the key ring with the small martial arts medallion, and the safe deposit key she'd mentioned with her final strength. Victor took the seat across from her, maintaining careful distance as Ava opened the sealed envelope first. Medical letterhead, genetic testing results. Her eyes scanned the document, then froze. "This can't be right," she whispered. Victor reached for the paper, but Ava pulled it back. "No, Ava, what is it?" Her hands trembled slightly as she placed the document flat on the table, turning it so he could read without touching it. Victor's eyes widened as he processed the information. "Paternity exclusion," he read aloud. "Subject is excluded as biological father of tested child." The silence between them stretched, filled with the hum of the bank's ventilation system and the distant sounds of business continuing beyond their private room. "I'm not your daughter," Ava finally said, her voice unnaturally calm. "These results could be falsified," Victor suggested, though his analytical mind had already accepted the document's authenticity. The testing company was reputable, the methodology sound. "You know they're not." Ava opened the second envelope, revealing a birth certificate different from the one she'd shown him days earlier. "Father, Daniel Westbrook." "Daniel," Victor breathed. "That's why he surfaced now. Not just for Olympic for you. Did you know?" Ava's question cut like a blade. "No." Victor's denial was immediate and absolute. "I believed." Elena never indicated. "She lied to both of us." Ava's composed exterior cracked slightly. "My whole life is fabricated." Victor wanted to offer comfort, but recognized any gesture would be unwelcome. Instead, he focused on facts, the language they both understood. "The timing fits," he acknowledged. "Elena and Daniel were close. When I was traveling for early investor meetings." Ava held up her hand, stopping him. "I don't need details." She turned her attention to the flash drive, plugging it into her laptop. Password prompt. She tried several combinations before her fingers paused. "Ava Cruz Kane," she typed, and the drive unlocked. Multiple folders appeared, one labeled for Ava, another Olympic, a third insurance. She opened the first, finding a video file with yesterday's date. Elena's gaunt face filled the screen, recording made from her hospital bed during a moment alone. "Ava, if you're watching this, I'm gone. I'm sorry for the lies. All of them. I thought I was protecting you." Elena's recorded voice paused, gathering strength. "Victor isn't your biological father. Daniel is." But Victor didn't know. He believed you were his. That's why his leaving hurt so deeply. He thought he was abandoning his child. Ava's knuckles whitened as she gripped the edge of the table. "I never told either of you the truth because Daniel was dangerous," Elena continued. The Olympic Code was his obsession, a military application of the algorithm they created. "When I discovered I was pregnant, I realized whose child you were. I thought keeping you from him was the only way to keep you safe." Victor sat motionless, absorbing 15 years of misconception through Elena's final confession. "The Olympic folder contains the original code," Elena explained. "Daniel believes I've kept it hidden all these years, which bought us time and safety. The truth is, I encrypted it and locked it away because it should never be used. It's powerful and dangerous, able to predict human behavior with frightening accuracy." The video, Elena coughed, her strength visibly fading. "Victor, if you're watching with her, I'm sorry. I used you, then villainized you to protect our daughter. Yes, our daughter, biology aside. You have no legal obligation to her now, but I'm asking you to help her one last time. Daniel won't stop. The insurance folder contains everything you need to finish this." The video ended. Ava sat perfectly still, a lifetime of training controlling her reaction to emotional devastation. "Open Olympic," Victor suggested quietly. The folder contained thousands of lines of code, elegant, complex, and terrifying in its implications. Victor recognized his early programming style interwoven with Daniel's distinctive approaches. This was their creation, evolved into something far more powerful than their original vision. It's prediction software, Ava observed, her analytical mind engaging despite personal turmoil. But it doesn't just predict consumer choices. It predicts human behavior under any circumstances, Victor confirmed. Including combat, social unrest, mind control, Ava finished. Or close enough. She opened the final folder, insurance. Inside lay documented evidence of Daniel's threats, financial transactions showing his connections to military contractors, and a detailed timeline of his activities following his staged death. She's been tracking him, Ava realized. All these years, while teaching me karate and helping with homework, she was hunting Daniel. Victor's phone chimed with a notification. He checked it, his expression darkening. Someone just offered the board $50 million for evidence of Project Artemis. They mentioned your name as their source. Ava's head snapped up. Daniel's making his move. Yes, and now we know why. Victor gestured to the DNA test. He's not just after Olympic. He's after you, his biological daughter. Ava said, the words foreign and uncomfortable. Elena's daughter, Victor corrected firmly. And right now, you're in danger. How would learning your biological parentage is different than you believed affect your sense of identity? Would it change who you feel you are? I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether our sense of self comes from genetics or from the people who raise us. She had trained her whole life to defeat her father in combat, only to discover her true battle wasn't against Victor Kane, but alongside him against an enemy who knew them both. Victor's private jet waited at Santa Monica Airport, the most discreet departure option available on short notice. His security team had swept the aircraft and established a secure perimeter while Ava gathered essential items from her home. My mother just died. She protested when Victor suggested temporary relocation. I'm not running away. We're not running, he countered. We're repositioning. Daniel has shown he can access Kane Technologies systems and has connections to the press. We need a secure location to analyze the Olympic code and determine his next move. Now, they sat in the private terminal, awaiting final clearance, while Victor's security chief provided updates. Daniel Westbrook has been tracked to the West Side Hotel, Michael reported. He's registered under an alias, but confirmed by facial recognition. He's not alone. Photos appeared on the tablet. Daniel with a younger woman, professionally dressed, entering the hotel. Corporate espionage specialist, Michael identified her, known for extracting proprietary information through various methods, including seduction, Victor noted, recognizing the woman from industry security briefings. Has he made contact with anyone at Kane Technologies? Not directly, but we've identified unusual access patterns from 3 employees in R&D. All received substantial deposits to offshore accounts within the last 72 hours. Ava studied the photos with detached analysis, her grief and shock channeled into tactical focus, a response Victor recognized from his own crisis management playbook. He's building a network, she observed, establishing multiple access points and contingencies. Yes, Victor found himself impressed. You certainly will, Sophia agreed with dangerous calm, starting by returning to the hospital immediately. The board has sent representatives and the press is gathering. They're expecting a statement from both of us about your commitment to your newly discovered daughter during this tragic time. The trap was elegant in its simplicity. Public appearance required, emotions running high, security compromised. Text me the details, Victor conceded, ending the call. Change of plans? Ava asked, having followed the conversation with quick understanding. Daniel's forcing us into the open. Victor explained the situation. Using public sympathy for your loss to create an appearance we can't avoid without looking guilty or heartless. So we walk into his trap? No, we spring our own. Victor turned to Michael. I need 2 security teams, one visible, one hidden. Full background checks on every hospital staff member who might have access. And I want Elena's room locked down. No one touches anything until we've swept it. Ava watched him mobilize resources with the efficiency of someone accustomed to command. For a moment, she glimpsed what Elena might have seen in him 15 years ago, before ambition and fear had separated them. You think Daniel planted something in Mom's room? She asked. I think he's been planning this for years, Victor replied. Your mother's illness accelerated his timeline, but this was always coming. As the security team prepared for their hospital return, Victor studied Ava's composed exterior, recognizing the cost of her control. "You haven't had time to process any of this," he observed quietly. "Your mother, the DNA test, Daniel. Emotions are a luxury right now," she answered, unconsciously echoing his own management philosophy. "I'll feel everything later, when we're safe." The similarity between them, genetic relation or not, struck Victor with uncomfortable clarity. He'd taught himself the same disciplined compartmentalization, prioritizing strategic thinking over emotional processing. "Your mother would want you to grieve," he suggested. "My mother would want me to survive," Ava countered. "She trained me for this my whole life. I just didn't know what this was until now." As they prepared to leave, Victor's secure line rang with a call from the hospital. "Mr. Kane, your wife is here demanding access to Ms. Cruz's room. She's threatening to reveal information about you both to the press waiting outside, unless you return immediately." Have you ever found yourself working with someone you distrusted because circumstances required it? How do you protect yourself while necessary cooperation occurs? Share your strategies for maintaining boundaries when forced into difficult alliances. In the martial arts, there's a moment when you must choose: maintain your defense or risk everything for the decisive strike. Elena had just forced that choice for everyone who claimed to love her. Providence St. John's Hospital had transformed overnight. News vans lined the entrance. Security guards checked IDs. Hospital staff moved with heightened awareness of being observed. Elena Cruz, previously unknown martial arts instructor, had become posthumously newsworthy through her connection to tech billionaire Victor Kane. Victor's wife waited in the administrative office, immaculate in designer mourning appropriate for a grieving stepmother by proxy. Sophia Kane had mastered the art of weaponized composure. "You've created quite the spectacle," she greeted Victor, not acknowledging Ava. "This isn't the time, Sophia." Victor kept his voice low. "Elena died last night. Have some respect." "Respect?" Sophia's perfect eyebrow arched. "Like the respect you showed our marriage by hiding a child? Or perhaps the respect you're showing the board by disappearing during a PR crisis?" "I didn't know about Ava until 5 days ago," Victor reminded her. "So you keep saying?" Sophia finally turned her attention to Ava, assessing her with cool precision. "My condolences on your loss. This must be a difficult time, discovering a father and losing a mother in the same week." Ava met her gaze directly. "Thank you. It's been educational." Something passed between the women. Recognition of similar calculation beneath different exteriors. "The board representatives are waiting upstairs," Sophia continued, addressing Victor. "They expect a united family front. A statement about welcoming Ava and honoring Elena's memory." "After I've seen Elena's room," Victor countered. "Her body has been moved to the morgue," Sophia pointed out. "What possible purpose?" "I need to collect her personal items," Ava interrupted. "Family photos, her phone, things that matter to me." The slight emphasis on family didn't escape Sophia's notice. Her eyes narrowed fractionally. "Of course. I'll accompany you." Victor recognized the move for what it was, surveillance wrapped in courtesy. As they headed toward Elena's room, he texted Michael, "Status?" The reply came immediately. "Room swept. Clean. Security in position." Something felt wrong. Daniel was too thorough to miss such an obvious opportunity. Unless, "Who told you Elena died?" Victor asked Sophia as they entered the elevator. "What? Who informed you about Elena's death before I did?" Sophia's composure faltered slightly. "I received a call from the hospital expressing condolences for our family's loss." "From whom, specifically?" "A doctor. Peterson or Peterson. I didn't catch his full name." Victor and Ava exchanged glances. No such doctor existed on Elena's care team. The elevator doors opened to reveal two men in expensive suits. Kane Technologies board members Hamilton and Cho. "Victor, there you are." Hamilton stepped forward, hand extended. "We came to offer support during this difficult transition and to discuss containment strategy," Cho added less diplomatically. "Gentlemen, thank you for your concern," Victor replied smoothly. "I'll join you shortly. First, I need to help Ava collect her mother's belongings. Of course, Hamilton nodded, his sympathetic expression not quite reaching his eyes. We'll wait in the family consultation room. The press is expecting a statement within the hour. As they continued toward Elena's room, Victor maintained outward calm while his mind raced. Daniel had orchestrated this gathering. The board members, Sophia, the press, creating witnesses, establishing a timeline. The question was, for what? Elena's room looked smaller without her presence. The bed stripped, equipment removed, personal items gathered in a plastic hospital bag. A nurse waited with a clipboard of release forms. These need signatures, she explained, handing the forms to Ava. And there's this. We found a tape under her bedside table during cleaning. She extended a small thumb drive with a folded note attached. Ava accepted it, unfolding the note just enough to recognize her mother's handwriting before slipping both into her pocket. Victor caught the movement but gave no indication, maintaining conversation with the nurse while Ava signed the forms. Sophia watched the exchange with calculated interest. Was there anything else? Jewelry, perhaps. Her wedding ring, Ava replied without hesitation. She always wore it. It should be with her personal effects. The deliberate lie created the desired effect. Sophia's attention fixed on the plastic bag, searching for evidence of a relationship Victor had never mentioned. While distracted, Victor moved closer to Ava. What did it say? He murmured. He's coming for the key, Ava whispered back. Destroy Olympic. The room's door opened as a hospital administrator entered. Mr. Kane, there's an urgent call for you at the nurse's station. You're head of security. Victor excused himself, following the administrator to the desk where a phone waited off the hook. Michael, sir, Daniel Westbrook just entered the hospital through the service entrance. Michael's voice reported. He's not alone, and they're armed. Victor's training kicked in, assessed a side act. Locked down Elena's room. No one in or out until I get back. And alert hospital security without causing panic. He hung up and turned, directly into the path of a man in a white lab coat. Gray-streaked hair, glasses, face altered by subtle cosmetic adjustments, but still recognizable. Hello, Victor, Daniel Westbrook said quietly. It's been a long time. The private hospital room became an arena for truths too large for its walls. Medical equipment removed, but the scent of Elena still lingering as four people circled each other with accusations sharp enough to draw blood without leaving marks. When multiple relationships collide in crisis, how do you determine where your true loyalty belongs? Is blood always thicker than water? Comment with your perspective on whether true family is defined by genetics or by choice. With death standing sentry at the door, Elena finally revealed the truth that had justified every deception, a truth that would either destroy Victor Kane or redeem him. You look well for a dead man, Victor observed, positioning himself between Daniel and the corridor leading to Elena's room. Daniel smiled thinly. Premature reports, much like those suggesting you had a daughter. This is a private family matter, Victor replied. Whatever business we have can wait. Family, Daniel's laugh held no humor. Is that what you're calling this arrangement? Let me guess. Elena's final manipulation. Using the child to secure your protection. Two men in maintenance uniforms appeared at the end of the hallway. Daniel's security team, poorly disguised. Victor assessed his options, calculating the distance to Elena's room where Ava remained with Sophia. Elena's dead, Victor said flatly. Whatever you wanted from her, you're too late. On the contrary, Daniel stepped closer, voice lowering. I'm precisely on time. Elena kept something that belongs to me for 15 years. I'm here to reclaim it. Olympic. Daniel's eyes narrowed at Victor's knowledge of the name. So she told you. I wondered if she would, at the end. She told me everything. Victor countered, watching Daniel's reaction carefully. Including about Ava. Something flashed across Daniel's face. Hunger, possession, calculation. My daughter. Yes. Another thing Elena stole. You threatened them, Victor reminded him. You forced me to leave them unprotected. I offered you a choice, Daniel corrected. Your company or your family. You chose the company, Victor. Don't rewrite history now that it's convenient. Hospital staff moved around them, oblivious to the tension vibrating between the two men. Victor's security team maintained distance but remained watchful, awaiting his signal. "What do you want?" Victor asked directly. "Olympic," the thumb drive Elena kept. "And Ava." Daniel's demands came without pretense. "My work, my legacy." "Legacy," Victor repeated. "Is that what you call it?" Olympic was dangerous. Unethical. "We agreed to terminate the project." "You agreed," Daniel hissed. "I saw its potential. 15 years of refinement, waiting for the right moment to deploy. Do you have any idea what it's worth now? What governments would pay for prediction software that accurate?" "I know exactly what it's worth," Victor replied. "That's why it needs to be destroyed." Daniel's composed exterior cracked slightly. "You always lacked vision. Even back then, too concerned with ethics and legalities, while I built the foundation of what became your empire. Is that why you're back? Revenge?" "Return on investment," Daniel corrected. "My code, my daughter, my rightful place." The standoff was interrupted as hospital security approached, responding to Michael's alert. Daniel stepped back, professional mask sliding back into place. "We'll continue this discussion privately," he said smoothly. "Tonight, your office. Bring Olympic and Ava, or I release everything I have on Project Artemis to the Justice Department." He turned and walked away, his security team falling in step. Victor immediately called Michael. "He's leaving. Follow him, but maintain distance. I want to know where he goes, who he contacts." Victor returned to Elena's room to find Sophia engaging Ava in carefully calibrated conversation, probing for information while maintaining sympathetic pretense. Both women looked up as he entered. "We need to leave," he announced. "Now." "The board is waiting," Sophia protested. "The press. Daniel Westbrook is alive. He's here." Victor cut her off, watching understanding dawn in Ava's eyes. "We're changing locations immediately." "Who is Daniel Westbrook?" Sophia demanded. "What does he have to do with this situation?" "He's my father," Ava said quietly, the admission clearly difficult. "My biological father." Sophia's perfect composure finally cracked. "What? There's no time to explain," Victor insisted. "Michael will escort you to the board members. Tell them there's been a security threat. I'll contact them once we're secure." For once, Sophia didn't argue, recognizing the genuine urgency in his tone. As she left, Ava turned to Victor. "He wants Olympic," she stated. "And you," Victor confirmed. "He knows you're his daughter." Ava's expression hardened. "Mom knew this would happen. That's why she left the note." "Destroy Olympic," Victor quoted. "Yes, but Daniel won't stop until he has it. So we give him a copy," Ava suggested. "Corrupted. A trap." Victor studied her thoughtfully. "You think like your mother. That's the highest compliment you could give me." Ava's voice softened momentarily before refocusing. "We need a controlled environment, somewhere we can manage the variables." "My office," Victor decided. "Tonight," as he suggested, "but on our terms." They left through the hospital service entrance, avoiding the press gathered at the main doors. In a secure car, Ava finally examined the thumb drive her mother had hidden. "It's encrypted," she observed, connecting to her laptop. "What's the key?" Victor asked. "I don't know yet." Ava tried several password combinations without success. But Mom said he was coming for the key, not just Olympic itself. The key must be physical, Victor realized. Something separate from the code. Something Elena kept hidden all these years. Ava's fingers paused over the keyboard. Or someone. The implications hung between them as they drove toward Kane Technologies' headquarters. If Olympic required both the code and a key, and Elena had hidden that key for 15 years. "I think I'm a key," Ava said finally. "Not just Daniel's biological daughter. Something more." As they prepared their counter-strategy, Victor's phone alerted with breaking news. Olympic files were being uploaded to multiple news outlets worldwide, with a 30-minute countdown timer and a simple message. "Confess or be destroyed. Your daughter's reputation falls with yours. Would you rather live with a necessary lie or a devastating truth? At what point does protection become its own form of harm?" Share your thoughts on when deception might be justified, even between those who love each other. Victor Kane had built his empire on a stolen idea that could exploit privacy worldwide. But to save his daughter's future, he would have to destroy his own. Kane Technologies' crisis room hummed with urgent activity. Security teams tracking the file upload, legal preparing cease and desist orders, PR drafting statements. Victor stood at the center, directing the response while Ava worked at a separate terminal, analyzing Olympic's code structure. 23 minutes until full release, the head of cybersecurity reported. We've contained 2 upload points, but 3 more appeared. It's using distributed architecture. Kill 1 node, 2 more activate. It's designed to spread, Ava observed without looking up from her screen, like a virus with predetermined immunity to standard countermeasures. Can we corrupt the files? Victor asked. Make them unreadable? Not without the key, the security chief replied. Whatever's uploading is encrypted. It won't fully decrypt until the countdown ends. Victor studied the pattern of uploads appearing across global networks. This isn't just about Olympic, he realized. Daniel's creating maximum exposure, ensuring we can't contain it. 17 minutes, someone called out. Ava suddenly straightened. I need access to your biometric database. What? Victor moved to her station. Olympic requires genetic authentication, she explained, pointing to code sequences. See these markers? They're not just encryption, they're DNA signifiers. The key isn't a password, it's genetic. Daniel's DNA, Victor concluded. That's why he needs you. Olympic will only fully activate with his genetic profile, or that of a direct descendant. 14 minutes. Victor made his decision. Give her full access, he ordered, and prepare a press conference. Immediate. Sir, his PR director questioned. We don't have a statement ready. I don't need one. Victor's voice carried the finality of someone who had calculated all outcomes and accepted the necessary sacrifice. Just give me live feeds to major networks. Now, while the team scrambled to comply, Victor took Ava aside. Can you create a kill switch? Maybe, she replied, fingers flying across the keyboard. If I can isolate the authentication protocol and replace the genetic markers with nonsense sequences, but I need time. I'll buy you time. Victor squeezed her shoulder briefly, the first physical contact between them. Do what your mother would have done. Fix what we broke. 8 minutes later, Victor Kane stood before hastily assembled cameras, the Kane Technologies logo visible behind him. His usual polished corporate appearance remained intact, but something had shifted in his demeanor, a weight lifted by decision rather than added by pressure. 15 years ago, he began without preamble. I helped develop an algorithm called Project Artemis. It evolved into a more advanced system called Olympic, predictive software capable of analyzing human behavior patterns with unprecedented accuracy. In the crisis room, Ava watched on monitors while continuing to modify Olympic's authentication protocols. The PR team exchanged panicked glances as Victor systematically dismantled his own carefully constructed public narrative. Olympic violated numerous privacy laws and ethical boundaries, Victor continued. When I recognized its dangers, I attempted to terminate the project. My business partner at the time, Daniel Westbrook, disagreed. Our conflict resulted in my separation from my family and his apparent death in what I now know was a staged accident. For minutes, the security chief called out. On screen, Victor continued his confession. Daniel Westbrook is alive. He's attempting to release Olympic publicly while framing me for its creation and application. What he doesn't know is that the system was designed with a fatal flaw. Ava looked up sharply. This wasn't part of their discussion. Olympic requires genetic authentication from its creator, Victor explained to the world. Without that authentication, the system will corrupt and destroy itself. I am publicly acknowledging my role in its development to ensure that when it fails, responsibility falls appropriately. 2 minutes, someone announced, voice tight with tension. Ava's hands stilled on the keyboard as understanding dawned. He's taking full responsibility, drawing Daniel out. On screen, Victor continued with calm determination. To Elena Cruz, who protected our daughter from these consequences for 15 years, I offer my belated gratitude and profound regret. To Ava Cruz, I offer the truth, however painful. And to Daniel Westbrook, I say this: it's over. Olympic dies today, one way or another. 30 seconds. In the crisis room, monitors suddenly flashed with incoming connection requests. Law enforcement agencies, regulatory bodies, media outlets. Kane Technologies' stock plummeted in real-time displays as the market reacted to Victor's confession. Kill switch activated, Ava announced, executing her final command sequence. Authentication protocol corrupted. The countdown reached 0. Throughout the global network, Olympic files opened and immediately began deleting themselves, cascading failures spreading through the distributed system as Ava's modified authentication protocol triggered self-destruction. Victor concluded his statement as alerts confirmed Olympic's dissolution. I accept full responsibility for my role in this technology's development and the choices that followed. Kane Technologies' upcoming public offering will be postponed indefinitely pending full investigation and disclosure. When he returned to the crisis room, the atmosphere had transformed from urgent crisis to stunned aftermath. His executive team stood shell-shocked, watching their company's valuation collapse. But Ava met him with quiet understanding. "You sacrificed everything," she observed. "Not everything," Victor corrected. "Just things." His phone chimed with an incoming text from Michael. Daniel Westbrook apprehended attempting to leave country. FBI has him in custody. As the last file was contained and the press conference ended, Ava approached Victor with Elena's final letter in hand. "She said to give you this after you made your choice. She knew what you would do today, long before either of us did. What would you sacrifice to protect someone else's future? Is redemption possible after years of deception? I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether people can truly change or if our past actions inevitably define us." The karate champion who had trained to defeat her father now stood beside him at her mother's grave, both wearing white, the color of new beginnings in the martial arts tradition Elena had honored. Cherry blossoms drifted across the cemetery like gentle snow. Elena's favorite trees planted by the student from her dojo, who formed perfect rose and white GIs, bowing in synchronized respect as Ava and Victor placed twin black belts across the polished stone. Traditional white for funerals, Ava had explained when providing Victor's attire. Mom would want us to honor the customs she taught. The belt Victor placed had yellowed slightly with age, Elena's first black belt, preserved among her personal effects. Victor hadn't known she'd kept it all these years. The ceremony followed Japanese ritual, simple, disciplined, emphasizing respect over display. When the formal observances concluded, Ava's students performed a synchronized kata, movements flowing like water around the grave. Victor stood slightly apart, acknowledging his place as both essential and peripheral to this community Elena had built. Sophia had not attended, their separation now proceeding with the same efficiency that had characterized their marriage. "They loved her," Victor observed as Ava rejoined him. "She built something real here," Ava replied. "Something that lasts." The past 3 weeks had transformed them both. Daniel Westbrook now faced federal charges for corporate espionage, fraud, and attempted extortion. Olympic's code had been permanently destroyed. Kane Technologies remained in operation, but under new leadership as Victor stepped down to cooperate with investigations. And Victor and Ava had established an uneasy peace, not quite family, but no longer adversaries. "Your mother's letter," Victor said as they walked from the gravesite. "Would you mind if I asked what it said?" Ava considered him for a moment before reaching into her GI and withdrawing the envelope she'd carried since that day in the crisis room. "See for yourself." Victor accepted it with surprise. The paper had been folded and unfolded many times, suggesting Ava had read it repeatedly. He opened it carefully. Elena's handwriting remained as he remembered, decisive, clear, with surprising elegance for someone so practical. "Victor, if you're reading this, you chose truth over empire. I knew you would eventually, The man I loved 15 years ago still exists beneath the success you built to justify his choices. Ava is not your biological daughter, but she has your mind, your determination, and your capacity for both calculation and compassion. Biology meant nothing compared to those gifts. I lied to protect her from Daniel, yes, but also to protect her from becoming a bargaining chip in the world you chose. I wanted her raised with purpose beyond profit, with principles beyond pragmatism. I succeeded perhaps too well. She will struggle with trust, with vulnerability. She will calculate risks before opening her heart, just as you always did. My final request: help her unlearn the lessons I taught too thoroughly. Show her that strategy and feeling can coexist. That strength includes knowing when to yield. I forgave you long ago for leaving. Forgive me for making it necessary. Elena. Victor carefully refolded the letter, returning it to Ava. They continued walking in silence until reaching the cemetery entrance. Will you rebuild the company? Ava finally asked, perhaps differently. Victor gazed at the students dispersing to their cars, Elena's legacy continuing through them. Your mother built something meaningful. I built something profitable. I'm reconsidering my metrics for success. Ava nodded, understanding implicit in her expression. The dojo needs leadership. Mom students are counting on continuing their training. You'll take over, Victor stated rather than asked. Yes, after I finish school. Ava hesitated before adding, I've been accepted to Stanford. Computer science program. Pride, unexpected and unfamiliar, warmed Victor's chest. Elena would be pleased. She wanted me to have options she didn't have. Ava's composed exterior softened slightly. College first, then decisions about the dojo. About everything. They reached Victor's car, the moment of parting arriving with its inevitable awkwardness. No established protocol existed for their unique relationship. Not father and daughter by blood, yet connected by something that transcended genetics. I've established a trust, Victor said. For your education, the dojo's continuation. No conditions. Thank you. Ava's acceptance came more easily than either expected. Mom would approve. Eventually, after questioning your motives thoroughly. The shared understanding of Elena brought a brief smile to both their faces. She'd be proud of you, Victor said. Not just for your accomplishments, for your character. She'd be satisfied with you. Ava returned with equal honesty. Not quite proud yet, but getting there. As they prepared to part ways, Victor tentatively placed his hand on Ava's shoulder. She didn't shrug it off. Mom's letter said you have a choice to make, he said quietly. Ava nodded, facing him with eyes that held both his determination and Elena's wisdom. So do you? Neither of us is who we thought we were 3 months ago. The question is, who do we choose to be now? In the distance, cherry blossoms continued falling. Constant renewal, beauty emerging from endings. Elena's final lesson to them both. What legacy do you hope to leave behind? Is it what you build, what you discover, or who you love that ultimately defines your life's meaning? Share what you hope to be remembered for, and whether you believe our greatest impact comes from our professional achievements or our personal connections. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories that make you feel, think, and maybe even heal a little. Tell me in the comments what aspect of their journey resonated most with you. And remember, the most powerful love doesn't rescue you from your life. It recognizes the strength that's been there all along.